Welcome back to the Go to Work radio show with the one and only Reverend Fred Show. How are you today?
Go to work, go to work, go to work. I am doing fine. Glad to be on the show, bringing information to the people. So it's a glorious day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And unfortunately, there's a lot of different things happening in the world each and every day, but we have to make the best of it. And then this is part of our plight to talk about psychiatric drugs as we embody the watchdog of CCHR, Citizens Commissions on Human Rights, because just never know what's taking place with people. And you are a phenomenal resource. So, can you speak on these psychiatric drugs and how it affects criminology, if you will?
Well, one of the things that we have to understand is that the doctors tell us that all drugs have side effects. Now, what we have to understand is that it's not actually a side effect, it is actually the effect of the drug. They call it a side effect because they don't want you, or maybe they don't intend for the certain reactions that happen because of these drugs to happen to you. So they'd be like a side effect, but actually the effect is occurring directly to you. So it's not a side effect, it is the effect. And what is the effect of these drugs? Now, every doctor now will tell you, everybody that think they know a little bit about medicine or they heard their doctor say it will tell you all drugs have side effects. Well, that doesn't make it right. And when you and I were little kids, we didn't seem to see people having all these effects of drugs that happen now. Right now, every drug has a side effect because that's intended when they make it. Because what happens is I give you a drug, you have a reaction to that drug, or that drug causes something else to go wrong. Let's not even talk about it in the mental health sense. Let's talk about it in the body sense. So you take a drug and it's to handle maybe diabetes. But this particular drug, they got to check you over time to see if you're having kidney damage. Well, now that they find that you do have kidney damage, they got to give you a drug for that. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And if they're lucky, 20 years later, you die. But look at all the money that's been made off of you. Now, that might seem hideous, but this has become a profit driven world. Money talks, everything else walks. Like a guy once said, money isn't everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was like a guy once said, money isn't everything, it's the only thing. So, we have to realize that some of these people don't have a conscience. They don't really care what happened to you. They're more into their BMWs and their mansions and how much money they got in the bank and the trips they take to here and there. That is what's important to them. So we have to understand when we looking at these drugs and they talk about side effects, these are the effects. Now, what are the effects? Well, one of the effects of psychiatric drugs is suicide. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's only in rare cases. Well, how do you determine what is rare? What is the number? There's 6 million children on psychotropic drugs. It's actually more than that. But it's, I think, 6.1 million children. What is rare? Is it 6,000 of that is rare? Is it 60,000 of that, which would be 1%? Is that what's rare? Is 10% considered rare? How come they never tell us what is rare? How come they don't tell us, oh, well, no, 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 it's 6 million kids. Only 5 of them are going to kill somebody or commit some suicide among themselves. Well, then we would know. But no, they can't tell you the number because they don't know how the drugs will affect you. Now, this is a very interesting thing right here. The drugs cause suicide, and a suicide is simply a homicide done to yourself. If I kill you, it is called a homicide. If I kill me, it is called a suicide. So the thing is that only difference between the homicide that I did with you or the suicide that I did with me is who it happens to. But it's both still have the word side. It's funny, but if you look at pesticide, these are these are chemicals and things that kill pests. Suicide refers to oneself. Homicide refers to someone else. All of the sides have to do with death. So I just want us to get the idea that a drug that can cause me to kill myself can also cause uh, me to kill you. Now let's take Phil Hartman. If you remember, Phil Hartman was on Saturday Night Live. His wife was on these psychiatric drugs, and she murdered him in his sleep and then killed herself. Now you have a homicide and a suicide. The thing you got to understand is that the reason police officers go to a suicide call with their guns out is because people who are contemplating killing themselves may decide to take you with them. You know, that's a scary journey into death. Some people have it in their mind they should take people with them when they go. I don't know what they think is going to happen or what will occur, but for some reason, that's why law enforcement officers go to those suicide calls with their guns in their hands. So we just have to make sure that when we're looking at this stuff, now, these psychiatric drugs also got another property. Sometimes children who are taking them drop dead. They can be riding their bicycle, boom, they out of here. That's how come that is never reported as a quote unquote side effect of the drug. So we got suicide, homicide, and then we got sudden death. All that can happen behind these drugs. Also, I want everybody in your audience to be careful. Lately, I've been noticing they'll mention blurred vision when they talk about some of these drugs can cause blurred vision. What they're not telling you is these antidepressants can cause blindness. I have a friend that I've known since we were in high school. He was on the track team and football team. I was on the basketball team. Well, he had a situation where he had to take some people out. Because he's a good guy, it didn't sit well with him. He always second guessed. He wished he'd have never had to take a person out and all of that. So he ended up on psychiatric lines. Then they started giving me antidepressant, and over time he went blind. We just happened to be at CCHR, and one of the workers, you know her, typed in blindness and antidepressants, and it popped up as one of the side effects. But
Mm,
how come we work in the industry? We are a mental
mhm.
health watchdog organization. How come we never heard blindness was a side effect or effect of these drugs? And this is what we mean when we talk about informed consent, that you got to tell the patient all that can happen. They tell people, you say, Doc, but if I get electric shock, what happens to me? Oh, for a little while, you'll have a short term memory loss. For a little while. They won't tell you that it can happen for years, if ever. So, anyway, I just want to tell your audience that they can reach me at fshawjr@yahoo.com, fshawjr@yahoo.com. They can also
Hmm.
find out where I get my information from cchrint.org. And with that, I think we have our hacking guest trying to get in on our call. So thank you. God
Yes.
bless.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that acknowledgement. And always just right there on the money, sharing information, all the facts, and giving reference. So definitely CCHRINT.org, the one and only spokesperson for Citizens Commission on Human Rights, the one and only, call him Fred Shaw, and you can reach him like he shared at fshawjr@yahoo.com. So until next time, everybody, have a great time. Go to work.
Go to work.